The kingdom of Eldoria, once vibrant and lush, now lay parched under a relentless sun. Its rivers were cracked beds of clay, its fields withered husks. Princess Elara, whose very essence was entwined with water magic, watched from her tower, her heart a stone of guilt. Months ago, a minor misunderstanding had ignited a spark of uncontrolled power within her, a ripple that had grown into a devastating wave, severing the kingdom's connection to the life-giving grand spring in the Enchanted Forest. She believed she had caused the drought, her own hands unwittingly bringing ruin. Her magic, once a joyous dance, now felt like a heavy chain, binding her to a self-imposed emotional prison of despair and isolation. Finn, a farmer whose hands knew the soil and whose heart understood the silent language of plants, found Elara staring out at the wilting landscape. Unlike others who blamed her, Finn saw only his friend, lost and burdened. His own small patch of land was struggling, but his resolve burned brighter than the dying sun. He spoke not of blame, but of hope. "The grand spring isn't truly broken, Elara," he asserted, his voice gentle yet firm. "It's merely asleep, and you, with your connection, are the only one who can awaken it. I will go with you. My plants whisper of a path, and together, we can mend what's been lost." His unwavering faith was a tiny sprout pushing through Elara's hardened grief. Guided by Finn's intuitive understanding of the forest's ancient paths and Elara's faint, trembling sense of the grand spring's distant hum, they ventured into the Enchanted Forest. The air grew cooler, thicker with the scent of damp earth and unseen blossoms. Yet, even here, the drought's touch was evident. Leaves hung limp, streams trickled weakly. Whispering vines seemed to recoil from Elara's touch, a constant reminder of her perceived failure. Finn, however, talked to them, coaxing them to reveal hidden routes, interpreting the subtle shifts in their foliage. He pointed out small, resilient pockets of life, reminding Elara that even in desolation, hope persisted. Deeper within the forest, they encountered a grove of ancient, petrified trees, their branches like skeletal fingers reaching for a sky that offered no rain. Here, Finn's plant sense grew agitated. He discovered an old, forgotten runic circle, barely visible beneath layers of moss. As Elara cautiously approached, a faint, shimmering memory unfolded before them. Not a grand act of destruction, but a minor tremor in the spring's ancient flow, exacerbated by a sudden, intense surge of Elara's grief and guilt over a small, personal failure months ago. Her magic, unbound by her emotional turmoil, had merely amplified an existing fragility, causing the spring to recede and then, trapped by her subsequent despair, to remain dormant. The misunderstanding was her belief in total culpability, rather than being an unintentional catalyst. Following the faint trail of magic, they arrived at the source, a cavern hidden behind a waterfall that no longer flowed. Inside, the grand spring lay dormant, its once glowing pool dark and still, veiled by a thick, shimmering mist that pulsed with Elara's own suppressed emotions. It was a tangible manifestation of her emotional prison, feeding on her guilt and fear, preventing the spring's natural resurgence. Ancient, gnarled roots, usually vibrant, now brittle and dry, encircled the pool like desperate hands. Finn knew his plant magic could help, but Elara's emotional block was the true barrier. He urged her to remember the joy her magic once brought, the life it sustained. Elara stood before the silent spring, confronting the tangible form of her despair. Finn, kneeling by the dry roots, began to hum a soothing melody, his hands gently encouraging the withered plants. He spoke of the forest's resilience, of water's endless cycle, of forgiveness. Inspired by his unwavering support, Elara closed her eyes, letting go of the guilt that had consumed her. She channeled not raw power, but pure, unburdened emotion, sorrow for the drought, hope for her kingdom, and profound gratitude for Finn's friendship. A single tear fell, landing in the dry basin. It shimmered, expanding, and then, with a deep, resonant hum, the mist around the spring began to dissipate, revealing a faint, inner luminescence. As Elara poured her heart into the spring, the luminescence grew, swirling into a vibrant vortex. The dry roots around the pool visibly swelled, drawing life from the newly awakened energy. With a triumphant roar, a geyser of pure, crystalline water erupted from the spring's heart, crashing against the cavern walls before settling into a steady, powerful flow. The sound of rushing water filled the cavern, a symphony of life reborn. The waterfall outside roared back to life, sending a cascade of fresh water down into the forest. Elara felt a profound sense of lightness, her emotional prison shattered by the torrent of her rediscovered hope and courage. The grand spring flowed freely once more, its waters coursing through the forest, revitalizing every leaf and stream. The air outside the cavern grew thick with the scent of fresh rain and blooming life. As Elara and Finn emerged, the forest seemed to sigh in relief, its colors vibrant, its inhabitants stirring with renewed vigor. The river leading back to Eldoria swelled, carrying the promise of life to the parched lands. Elara felt her magic flow freely within her, no longer a burden but a joyous part of her being, a clear, untainted current. The drought was broken, and the kingdom would heal, nourished by the restored waters and the princess's peace.